Phenomenal news from America. Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of my inauguration, and today, after 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging, investment is soaring, incomes are rising, inflation has been defeated, our previously open and dangerous border is closed and virtually impenetrable. And the United States is in the midst of the fastest and most dramatic economic turnaround in our country's history. Under the Biden administration, America was plagued by the nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth, and high inflation, a recipe for misery, failure, and decline. But now, after just 1 year of my policies, we are witnessing the exact opposite. Virtually no inflation and extraordinarily high economic growth. Growth like I believe you'll see very shortly our country has never seen before, perhaps no country has ever seen before. Over the past 3 months, core inflation has been just 1.6%. Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be 5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted. Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time high records. So that's in 1 year, 52 records, adding $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, 401ks, and people's savings. People are doing very well. They're very happy with me. Since my inauguration, we've lifted more than 1.2 million people off of food stamps, and after 4 years in which Biden secured less than $1 trillion of new investment in our country. Think of that, 1 trillion, substantially less than that. In 4 years, we've secured commitments for a record-breaking $18 trillion, and we think when the final numbers come out, they'll be closer to $20 trillion of investment. That's never been done by any country at any time, not even close. Just over 1 year ago, under the radical left Democrats, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. In fact, the United States economy is on pace to grow at double the rate that was projected by the IMF just last April. And with my growth and tariff policies, it should be much higher. I really believe we can be much higher than that. And this is all great news, and it's great for all nations. The USA is the economic engine on the planet. And when America booms, the entire world booms. It's been the history. When it goes bad, it goes bad. You all follow us down and you follow us up. And we're at a point that I don't believe we've ever been. I never thought we could do it this quickly. My biggest surprise is I thought it would take more than a year, maybe like a year and 1 month. But it's happened very quickly. This afternoon, I want to discuss how we have achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. And we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good, but it's not heading in the right direction. In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports. The consensus was that so-called dirty jobs and heavy industry should be sent elsewhere, that affordable energy should be replaced by the Green New Scam, and that countries could be propped up by importing new and entirely different populations from faraway lands. This was the path that Sleepy Joe Biden administration and many other Western governments very foolishly followed, turning their backs on everything that makes nations rich and powerful and strong. And there's so much potential in so many nations. The result was record budget and trade deficits and a growing sovereign deficit driven by the largest wave of mass migration in human history. We've never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, many parts of our world are being destroyed before our very eyes, and the leaders don't even understand what's happening. And the ones that do understand aren't doing anything about it. Virtually all of the so-called experts predicted my plans to end this failed model would trigger a global recession and runaway inflation. But we have proven them wrong. It's actually just the opposite. In 1 year, our agenda has produced a transformation like America has not seen in over 100 years. Instead of closing down energy plants, we're opening them up. Instead of building ineffective, money-losing windmills, we're taking them down and not approving any. Instead of empowering bureaucrats, we're firing them, and they're going out and getting jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times what they were making in government. So they started off hating me when we fired them, and now they love me. Instead of raising taxes on domestic producers, we're lowering them and raising tariffs on foreign nations to pay for the damage that they've caused. In 12 months, we have removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls, the largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II. Nobody thought that was coming, but we had no choice. To make a country great, you can't have all federal jobs. We've cut federal spending by $100 billion and slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in the single year. It's going to go down quite a bit more from that, driving inflation way down from the record highs of the Biden administration. Every month, they went up and up and up. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every single new regulation, but instead I've cut, actually till this point, 129 regulations for every one new regulation approved. So every time they come in with a new regulation, we do at least 10, but so far it's averaging out to 129, if you can believe it. In July, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. We also provided 100% expensing. That's the one they like. And bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital investments to help companies expand and shift production to America. They are so in love with that. They build a plant, they're able to deduct it immediately, the whole thing, rather than waiting 38 to 41 years in the old days. This is a miracle taking place. Nobody thought it would ever be done by any country, but it's done by us. It was what
my question is, where is this happening? Because we're just not seeing it in America. My God, look at this beautiful gray squirrel coming out of the tree here. Look at him. He is pure gray. Look at that little bugger. Yeah, my question is what country is he talking about? Because it's not happening here. It's just not happening here in America. I haven't seen gas prices anywhere around here $1.99. I mean, that would be great. Eggs did come down, but they're still $2, $3 a dozen. They were 4 or 5. Some 6, depending on what kind of eggs you get. It'll probably take time to come down, but everyone's where's our supplement check or whatever they were supposed to put out to help the economy or whatever. And that's what America needs. is cold cash in their pockets, you know, a check. Now, a lot of people are saying there's supposed to be a $2,000 check coming for everybody or what, but we haven't seen it. We probably won't see it. I didn't see the last three that they gave or whatever, you know. So maybe I didn't qualify for them or whatever. But that's the thing. Oh, we're giving all this money up, but sorry, you don't qualify. You know, it's only for the few, the proud or whatever, that are getting these big checks. And you know what we are finding out? The government gave all these loans to these businesses, farmers, and everybody. And these people are out buying homes and driving around in $1 million cars and everything. And none of it went towards what it was supposed to. So it was a scam. And the government gave out all these EPA loans and everything. It lost the money. Now, what could happen? Well, then people just file bankruptcy. And the $5 million they got, they don't have to pay back. Or 20 million or whatever it was they got to start a business or whatever. They don't have to pay it back. A total flim flam. I don't know. Let's continue.
Made my first term the most successful 4-year term that we've ever had from a financial standpoint. And now we've upped it. This is a 10-year program, not a 1-year program, but you're allowed to deduct everything in 1 year. It used to be 38 to 41 years. With tariffs, we've radically reduced our ballooning trade deficit, which was the largest in world history. We were losing more than $1 trillion every single year, and it was just wasted. It was going to waste. But in 1 year, I slashed our monthly trade deficit by a staggering 77%. And all of this with no inflation, something everyone said could not be done. There were a couple of brilliant people that actually thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing. Now they all think I'm doing the right thing because they can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month, and it's doubling over the next 4 months. It's doubling and tripling, and we have steel plants being built all over the country. Nobody thought they'd see that. Factory construction is up by 41%, and that number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals, and we've given very, very quick, fast approvals. In the process, we've made historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries in the world. We have countries as our partner, too. The European nations, Japan, South Korea. They're our partners. They've gone into massive deals with us, especially on oil and gas. And these agreements raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal, because as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow. It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation-wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending jobs and factories to the world's worst polluters. They are indeed polluters. Under Sleepy Joe Biden, new domestic oil and gas leases fell by 95%. Think of that. And they wonder, why was gasoline going up so fast? The gasoline actually topped $5 a gallon, and some places $7 a gallon, and more than 100 major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people that had no idea what the hell they were doing. Under my leadership, U.S. natural gas production is at an all-time high by far. U.S. oil production is up by 730,000 barrels a day, and last week we picked up 50 million barrels from Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them, and they'll be making more money than they've made in a long time. Venezuela is going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been giving. We've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that. But Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years. Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been
All right, well, that's good for Venezuela, right? But the American people ain't seeing none of that. You got 50 extra. You know, our gas prices should be $1 a gallon. Why is it? It's just not being produced in the real world. You can get up there and say all kinds of stuff, but you ain't controlling the businesses. You're saying, well, $1.99 gas. And they're saying, yeah, screw you. We're up to $2.53 a gallon up here in northern Indiana. And why is that? Well, probably because they're price gouging. There ain't nobody watching them. So their gas is $2.53 a gallon. So I just ain't seeing it. And yeah, there are little things coming down in the grocery stores, you know, eggs, stuff like that. You know, milk for a gallon is $4. You know, foods and everything, a little bit of foods here and there. Let me tell you when America was great. America was great when we were getting stuff from other countries cheaper than what we could produce it here and make it. And when you live amongst a country that majority of the people are poor or working men, that was when it was good, when you could go buy a TV, you know, a 50, 60-inch TV for $200. You know, when gas was $1.99. Them were the good times when eggs were $1.99 for a dozen. But them days, I don't know what happened. We'll never be able to produce stuff. We can in this country, but it'll take many years to be a sufficient self-sustained country like we used to be, but we're not anymore.
very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon in many states, $2.30 a gallon in most states, $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99, numbers that nobody has heard for years. Actually,
now he's telling the truth, because it was on the news somewhere in one of these states. The gas was $1 something a gallon. And people were actually, that were living in other states around that state, were loading up their flatbed trucks with these big giant plastic containers that they use for chemicals on farm fields and stuff. And they were filling that with gas and bringing it back to their state. So he's right about that. Some areas are really low gas prices. But this is something, Mr. President, you should put a cap on for any gas company out there, right? You're only allowed to charge this amount of much. You go over that, you're price gouging, and you'll be fined and possibly shut down. And you got to really pull the reins on these people. Uh, and that's the only way you're going to be able to be a country that sustains itself without a price cap. These people raise the prices as high as they want. Why? Well, because it's business. You can't tell them how to run their business, even though they know they're ripping the people off. And half of the gas we're getting ain't real gasoline. So, yeah.
Since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers. I've signed an order directing and approval of many new nuclear reactors. We're going heavy into nuclear. I was not a big fan because I didn't like the risk, the danger, but they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable, and the safety progress they've made is incredible. We're very much into the world of nuclear energy, and we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe. And we're leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China by a lot. I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed these big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own power plants, which when added up is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are. I got to hand it to them. But we're creating as much or more, and we're letting them do that. I'm very proud of it. It was my idea.
Well, I don't know if it was your idea, Mr. President Trump, but China is ahead, I do believe. These people put energy sidewalks, and every time somebody walks on that sidewalk, it produces energy. We're way behind. We're producing energy, but old-fashioned ways. China has gone into the future, where there's actually sensors underneath the road. And as the vehicles drive on the road, they're pushing down on sensors and creating energy. So, yeah, there's a lot of work to do, I would say, sir. But yeah, maybe it was. I don't know.
Said you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants. And they said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system. And I came up with the idea, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth, they didn't believe it. And I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding. I said, no, not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say nuclear will take 3 weeks. But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas.
No, I think this is very dangerous. Very dangerous. Now you're going to have small nuclear plants all over on properties of these businesses and everything. These people know nothing of nuclear. It's going to be a giant meltdown. Literally. I don't know if that's a good idea. They already lost the war when they started saying that solar, wind, water, that these things are not sufficient or both of these working with nuclear could power. Solar power, wind power will work when you ain't got nothing. Meaning when one of your nuclear plants, electric plants, melt down and you got no power coming out of it. Why they don't want to do that, I don't know. Other countries are using it. I have no idea. And it's probably because these old time electric power stations and everything owe money to Kramer Junction Solar, wind, and water power. You know, and they've been the power company's been having to cut a check to them. So what do? Well, they cut the guy out, right? And now they're trying to get, they sink all their money into politics to get these politicians to do it for them, pass the laws, yada, yada, yada. And here we are.
Even going coal in some cases. Because of my landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land, destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard. Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017. And it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving.
Didn't anyone tell these people the reason that they're only producing 22% is because their country went wind, solar, water, power, and it's saving the people? It might not be making money for the electric companies, but it is saving money to the homeowner, the property owner that has these things he's creating his own power for his own property. The only one that ain't making money in that deal is the power stations. So
the problem. He's going to do a great job. But what they did before he got there, I guess that's why he got there. And electricity prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophically low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very low levels. Think of that, 1/3. And you're sitting on top of the North Sea. And they like to say, well, that's depleted. It's not depleted. It's got 500 years. They haven't even found the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill. Environmentally, they don't let them drill. They make it impossible for the oil companies to go. They take 92% of the revenues. So the oil companies say, we can't do it. They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great. They're sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them, but they don't use them themselves. They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use the thing called coal mostly. But China goes with the coal. They go with oil and gas. They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit, and they're doing just fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though, and I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They are shocked that it continues to go. They're very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such
Stupid people buy them. China does have windmills. And you can't blame it on China. What about Holland? Holland had, you go back to old Holland, what did they have? Windmills.
destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe, Scotland and Germany, 100%.
But that's what Americans are worried about. Right? Focus on America. I don't care what Germany's doing or whatever, not unless they're doing something bad to America. But American people don't care. Well, Europe, we love Europe. Well, you should love America. We're sinking. That makes no sense. I love Europe. We want to make it. Well, make America great. We'll start worrying about Europe and China and all this when we have something to worry about.
Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West. Because Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. It's beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies.
All right, folks, let's take a little break and check out the weather. As you can see, we got snow flying out there. It's starting to come down a little bit more now. I don't think we're supposed to get a lot, like a couple inches of that. But it's a winter wonderland again out there. Winter wonderland. Now, with the video I did earlier showing you the lawsuits against the power companies, and there's other lawsuits going on too, housing. It's just crazy. They're getting people on. People are complaining about the electric, right? The electric bill's too high. But people are saying, well, no, it's not the electric, it's natural gas, that people are complaining about. Well, there ain't too many people using their heads. They're saying, oh, no, we don't have a problem with our electric. It's our natural gas. See? And they're putting up the documentation. It's natural gas. But it's also the electric. A lot of people turned away from gas and oil and have gone electric. It's more efficient and it's less dangerous, right? Well, you have a wood burning stove, you're acceptable to fires and carbon monoxide, oil burners, and stuff like that. It's become a hazard within your own house. So people switched over to electric because Indiana was doing this big electric thing. You know, if you go electric, if you go solar, if you go power, we're going to give you a discount. So everybody did. And now they're flipping back to, oh, well, that ain't no good. Well, you already made these people buy all this stuff because that was the future of power, and it works. Combined with coal, oil, nuclear, whatever, yeah, it can work. Why are they not doing? I don't know.
Not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong. Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation more clear than what's currently going on with Greenland. Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland? I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. We saw this in World War II when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory, and hold it we did at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps.
Well, I agree with them on this. Right? If it wasn't for America, none of these countries would be where they're at. He's right. They'd be talking German, Japanese, or whatever country invaded them. And if it wasn't, last week or a couple of weeks ago, Trump said, if it wasn't for America, London would have been Germany. There wouldn't have been a London because Germany would have accomplished its mission in firebombing London and England and everything, and there would have been nothing. It would have burned, and Hitler would have took it. Yeah, that's true. That's a fact. 100% fact. America didn't help them out. They wouldn't have had a country. So I agree with them on that stuff. America did stick their necks out for a lot of people for many, many, many years. Many years. And we still are flipping the bill for everything. And when you really look at it, if it wasn't for America and the Allies at that time coming together and taking on Germany, and you have to remember, Germany only had a couple allies at that time. America had many. So it was a couple militaries going against, I don't know how many militaries joined America. But I'm not gonna lie. At that time, uh, Germany was a powerhouse with a military. They started off with their own military doing stuff, and then as they conquered countries, them countries came in with them. And if we didn't stop them, it would have been a different story. Maybe, I don't know. We don't know what history would have been if Germany would have won the war. You know, I don't know.
After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory. It's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle.
You know, I just don't understand this. I really don't. You know, in one breath, Russia, China, they're all getting along, and but in the next breath, it's Russia, China's, and other people's. I don't know what we're dealing with here. You know, it's almost like a battle within the government's head. Either we're going to worry about America first, or you're going to blame everybody but say they're doing great. China's, Russia's now on, we're doing great with them. And, you're constantly talking to Putin or these China people or Japanese or whoever. I don't understand it. You know, it's 1 minute we don't like them, the next minute we do like these countries or whatever. But it's just crazy to me. I don't understand it.
Isn't important nearly when we gave it back. When we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth, no such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere, and we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. For 2 centuries, they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019,
Well, I agree with him on that. I agree with him on that. We should have kept it. I mean, if we would have kept every country that we went into to fight to Germany and all these other, and then just kept them countries, America would have been huge. And Elon Musk was talking about that. I was watching Rogan and Elon Musk was on there, and Rogan asked him, why didn't we? Could we have done that? Just taken over everything, all the countries, that we went in to save or whatever. And Elon's like, we could have. Yeah, we could have kept it all. But then we would have been the tyrants. We would have been the bullies. We would have been the madmen. They would have said, here, we are going against Germany, that Germany wanted to occupy every country, and then America came in and did it. They would have said, well, we got rid of one bad person, but now here's America doing what Germany did. I don't know. It's a catch-22, if you ask me.
Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired, there's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They're stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person. You wouldn't have NATO if I didn't get involved in my...
Well, I agree with him on that. We're not getting the returns that we should be getting. But that's what America did to itself, Mr. Trump, is we went and saved everybody else's countries. And people forget about that. And America was freedom and rise against communism and all that. And America will help everybody, but there's no return in it. America was just doing it to do it, to stand up against tyrants, and it was equal living, and everybody's created equal. That was a long time ago. And at that time, we were a self-sustained country. Everything was done in-house. Yeah.
First term, the war with is an example. We are thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. You can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything, and I only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open. The inflation was raging. Everything was bad with the United States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening, too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion. I came in, and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control.
$350 billion we gave to them. It's no wonder we're poor. It's no wonder we can't survive. What are you? Well, I agree with Trump on that. You're giving all this money away. Why? Your own ship is, are they jumping ship? Was that $350 billion to buy a country so America could go to that country by this? I don't know. 350. No wonder we got poor people sleeping on the streets and eating garbage out of garbage cans and stuff. It's unreal. And that was just the one thing. All right, folks, we're going to end this video at 1 hour, just a couple minutes away.
Well, we fixed it with the strongest border anywhere in the world. And I've now been working on this war for 1 year, during which time I settled 8 other wars. India, Pakistan. I settled other wars that were Vladimir Putin called me, Armenia, Azerbaijan. He said, I can't believe you settled that one. They were going on for 35 years. I settled it in 1 day. And President Putin called me. He said, I can't believe I worked on that war for 10 years trying to settle it. I couldn't do it. I said, do me a favor, focus on settling your war. Don't worry about that one. What does the United States get out of all of this work, all of this money, other than death, destruction, and massive amounts of cash going to people who don't appreciate what we do? They don't appreciate what we do. Talking about NATO, I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed to pay 2% of GDP, but they weren't paying. Most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO. And I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair. But then more importantly, I got NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said, we will never go up higher than 2%. But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5. They didn't pay the 2, and now they're paying the 5. And they're stronger for it, and they have an excellent, by the way, secretary.
Well, I agree with them on that also. America's paying the bill for everything. And we're dwindling away. We're down on health care. We're down on medical research. We're down across the board. right? Facebook, every day you wake up, you go on Facebook, and there's some new cure, but we ain't seeing it. This is the same thing they did when I was a child. Do you remember listening to the news when I was a kid with the parents and sitting around playing, cancer will be solved 5 years, 10 years around, we'll have every cancer licked and everything. That was back in the 60s, 70s, late 60s and 70s. Here we are 50, 60 some years, and, treatments have come a long way, but I don't know if they cured everything. And here's the thing, them cures are for only people that can afford it. We can't afford that. Why? Because our healthcare system won't approve it. No, we can't. You mean that you can cure them? No, we're not going to pay for it. And that's how they are. Same thing with medication. You mean one pill can cure them and heal them? No, you can't. Well, okay. Well, we'll give them the generic stuff that hasn't been tested. We have no idea if it works or not. Yeah. Anything to get away from their responsibilities or money out of their pocket is denied.
Secretary General, who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here? Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark. We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then.
Aha. So it was Russia. It was the Italians. It was the Japanese that we fought against. And we remember that. We'll remember that.
But we are a much more powerful force now after I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today. We have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that, 100 times more powerful than those big, magnificent pieces of art that you saw so many times ago, that you still see on television.
I got 2 of them battleships on order, so we can dump them in Lake Gimme Some Gucci, the Great Lakes of Michigan. So I got 2 of them on order for there, because we'll have firepower from Lake Michigan if we ever get invaded or anything, or we have a rogue group in America that goes rogue and tries to take us all out. We'll have firepower from Lake Michigan.
And you say, wow, what a force. 100 times, each ship 100 times more powerful than the big battleships of the past. So that was the end of the mothball story. So what we have gotten out of NATO is nothing except to protect Europe from the Soviet Union and now Russia. I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything except we.
No, he's true about that, folks. We're at our 1 hour. We're going to be ending this. We've done so much for Europe and got so little. I think they sent a bunch of vampires or something, or magic men or something to, I don't know. We're just United States citizens, raised, born, a product of the United States of America. Yeah, no, yo, RC, what's up? I don't even like NATO, but they did put a bunch of people in Afghanistan and Iraq. Yeah, but we don't make nothing out of it. I think Trump said before, these countries don't have money. They have either resources or spices, gold, food, and what Trump said before is you can't go in and save a whole country and then walk out of there with baskets of tomatoes and stuff. I mean, you can, because we're hurting for food in America now, but there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it anymore for America. There probably is. Now watch. We'll stop being the superpower and saving everybody's countries, and they'll find someone else to do it, and then they'll give them a bunch of look at, and they'll leave America saying, well, we just didn't like you, so we didn't pay you, but we like these people and they're on our side. Well, it's like a catch-22, right? As soon as America pulls out, then there's all kinds of money for whoever's helping them. Pretty crazy if you ask me. We're going to watch a little bit more of this and then we're shutting her down.
Pay for NATO. And we paid for many years until I came along. We paid for, in my opinion, 100% of NATO because they weren't paying their bills. And all we're asking for is to get Greenland, including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it. You can't defend it on a lease. Number one, legally, it's not defensible that way, totally. And number two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the ocean where if there is a war, much of the action will take place on that piece of ice. Think of it. Those missiles would be flying right over the center of that piece of ice. All we want from Denmark for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your prime minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be.
You gotta love them sometimes. You gotta love them, Canada. You're lucky to be alive. Our Golden Dome will be protecting you also, even though you're a bunch of freeloaders. Crazy Canadians better start sending down Canadian bacon and maple syrup. RC says he just wants Greenland because it looks big. But it's just a piece of ice. People don't realize the climate goes, there goes Greenland. The climate, you get warm weather around there, and that ice cube is going to start melting, and you got nothing but water.
Be grateful to us. Canada Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We are.
Well, there you go, folks. Whoever Mark is, Mark, if you're listening, you remember that, what Canada's doing, and Israel, what we've done for Israel and everything. I'm kind of iffy about Denmark because he's right. It's just a glacier. That's it. If global warming happens and it gets so, there goes Greenland. Better invest in houseboats to put on the land because of the glacier. What if the glacier breaks away? There goes Greenland drifting away. I don't know. Maybe maybe there's something there. I don't know. Greenland ain't what it was a long time ago. So, I mean, he might be right. Maybe we need Greenland. I don't know. RC, do we really need Greenland? What do they got other than rare earth? Oil. That's about it. That's probably all there is. It's just a nice glacier. No. RC says no. He's laughing. You basically have the run of the place already. Yeah, they basically. I don't know. This is just getting too much. Well, but he makes a good point. We ain't getting what we should be getting. We never did. And that's because America always put its nose in where it shouldn't be. And we went and, we took care of the bad guy for that country and we're out of here. It only cost us $50 billion. You're not supposed to be paying money out when you're the superhero. You're supposed to be getting money in. So it's not paying off to be the superhero. Like I said numerous times, we need doctors, we need nurses, we need health coverage, we need food, we need money in our pockets. We're still waiting that. Why they stopped the supplement checks, I have no idea. But they should have took refuge or took notes from other countries that. And why? And here's the thing: they were pumping out supplement checks in other countries for at least 8 months to everyone. And for some reason, them countries are doing good, but we ain't. We got a couple months of. Or a couple years, we got a supplement check each year or whatever. And then it just stopped. And I thought that was a bad call. We keep hearing about America's making all this money. Yes, but the American citizens ain't. Someone's making a bunch of money, but it just isn't the American citizens. The people that made money were the ones that had kids, tax breaks and all kinds of stuff. Well, majority of the United States is poor people. So your plan is only working for one side, and it ain't working for the other one. Let me see what RC is saying. And it will just upset everyone. Other countries on the planet. Well, you know what? I would tell Trump, go tell Russia to be the powerhouse, or Japan or whatever, and protect all these people and let them flip the bill. And you know what? They won't, because once they start having to cut checks out and paying billions and billions to other countries to feed them or whatever, they'll be like, oh crap. Yeah, your bank book's gonna be real low real fast if these other countries try to take on being the superpower. RC says you won't make any money from doing real work. Now it's all about scams like all AI and crypto. Yeah, and now they're investigating the crypto because they're saying that these terrorists and everybody have switched over, and they're using crypto to pay everybody. I was like, what? Yeah, crypto money and everything. Oh, so that's why there's no trail of the corruption and everything's gone crypto. Pretty crazy if you ask me. No, there ain't no money in anything anymore except for the tyrants that are doing it. They're the only ones rich.
Going to build a dome like no other. We did it. We did it for Israel. And by the way, I told Bibi, stop taking credit for the dome. That's our technology. That's our stuff. But they had a lot of courage and they were good fighters and they did a good job. And we wiped out the Iran nuclear threat like nobody can believe.
And Mr. Trump just hit the nail on the head. Israel. That's our dome. We were the ones that built it for them. Them are our CRAM devices over there. Now, we could take them, right? We created it for them. They didn't have that technology. They got that technology from us. We had to go in and create the over there when we didn't even have one. But see, we were led to believe from Reagan and all these people that we already had a dome with satellites and things that, well, why are we building a golden dome if America, when Reagan was in, when all these other countries talked about the space, America's got the greatest defense systems and everything. Why are we building? Because it was a bunch of crap. And it was a way to suck money out of our people. Yeah, crypto and RC in chat is saying that crypto is now the number one perfect way to laundry money.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That, Venezuela, taking down Soleimani, wiping out al-Baghdadi when he tried to reinstitute ISIS. We did a lot. I did a lot of big things. All perfectly executed. Everyone was perfectly executed. Somebody told me that, a military expert told me, sir, everything you've done has been perfectly executed. I said, I know. So other presidents have spent, whether foolishly or not, trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO and gotten absolutely nothing in return. We've never asked for anything. It's always a one-way street. Now they want us to help them with Ukraine. And we say, we're going to. I'm really helping, not even them. I want to see, last week, if you saw, it was 10,000 soldiers, but last month it was 31,000 soldiers died. 31.
See, I don't get this. In one breath, he says, the Ukraine war has nothing to do with us. We have oceans between us. And in the same breath, now he's saying we are going to help Ukraine. Something ain't right here, folks. Are you folks hearing this? Or is it me? Have I been MK'd Ultra or cursed or spelled with witches and warlocks and oh my? But he just said, we have nothing to do with the Ukraine war. We're not doing anything. We have oceans between us, has nothing to do with us, but we're going to help them. No, that don't make sense.
1,000, that's this room times, the number of people in this room times 30. Think of it. 30,000 soldiers died in 1 month. The month before it was 27,000. The month before that it was 28,000. The month before that it was 25,000. It's a bloodbath over there. And that's what I want to stop. It doesn't help the United States, but these are souls. These are young people. Look like you, look like some of you right in the front row. They go to war. Their parents are so proud. Oh, there he goes, comes back. 2 weeks later, they get a call. Your son's head's been blown off. I want to stop it. It's a horrible war. It's the worst since World War II. They keep going. They'll exceed World War II. The numbers are staggering, how many people they've lost. They don't want to talk about it. Ukraine and Russia lost just tremendous amounts. And I'm dealing with President Putin, and he wants to make a deal, I believe. I'm dealing with President Zelensky, and I think he wants to make a deal. I'm meeting him today. He might be in the audience right now. But they got to get that war stopped because too many people are dying, needlessly dying. Too many souls are being lost. It's the only reason I'm interested in doing it. But in doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time. Very smart man.
They call him daddy. I think we're all going to start calling him daddy. You might as well jump on board Greenland and all these, they're calling Trump daddy. Well, RC, you got anything to say about that? I don't know. I'm confused. 1 minute, we got nothing to do with Ukraine. It's not our war. In the same breath, he's going to help them or whatever. I don't know. No. Maybe someone sold his soul or something. He don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's possessed. But it ain't making sense. It's going back and forth. And here's the thing. This country is divided. It's divided everything. It's divided our families. It's divided our government. It's divided our religion or whatever. And I think someone is lying to the government. Oh, we got so much money. We're doing this and that. And people love us, but they don't. That is yes men that you have working for you that are going to tell you everything's up, everything, we're making tons of money when we're really not. Oh, the people love you and everything, but they really don't. And they're just stringing you along. Maybe that deep state that's within the White House or whatever. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And it ain't. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this video. We'll be back to recap the second. How much is left of this video? Dang, we ain't even halfway through this video yet. So we're going to have to make a two-part segment out of this. There's a lot of stuff I agree with Trump on. But I don't know do I agree with Trump because the same... he taught we're going to do that. But then in the same breath, he's saying something different. What side, we all have our devils and our angels or whatever, but we're watching it on TV as it unfolds. A lot of people are saying it's the end of the world. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not God. Only God knows. All right. I want to thank RC for stopping in. RC, is there anything you want to say before we end? Yeah. I agree with you on the AI thing. AI now is learning. It's trying to create its own brain, think on itself. And that's dangerous. They should have never gave it a brain. Yeah, because AI one day could just shut down the power grids and everything. They're not using their heads. Some things they should not have changed. They shouldn't have let technology in on some of this stuff. Yes, some technology had to be changed. But when the whole thing is being run, man, it's not a good thing. All right, we are going to end this. I will be back with part 2 here. And we'll see how this goes. I don't know. I'm an idiot. I think they're pimping us out. They're pimping the American citizens out to witches, warlocks, goblins, whatever, to the devil, and they're just using us as guinea pigs. Well, maybe they might be. I don't know. But we will be back with part 2 on this, because we're just about halfway through the video. So must have been a long speech. Now, once again, I do agree with Trump on some of this stuff. I do. America's been shafted for a long time. At least the citizens have. The working man's been shafted for a long time. All right. Thank everyone for stopping in. I will be back. Now, take note, we got snow out there. It looks like it's letting up a little bit now. I don't think we're supposed to get that much snow, but we are going to be getting cold for the next 4 days. So hunker down. You folks have a good day. I'll be back.